In September of 2022, I stopped by a weekend yard sale just outside Flagstaff, Arizona. It was one of those random detours. I saw a few signs tacked to telephone poles on my way to pick up some paint supplies and figured I'd take a look. The house was tucked behind a row of old pines, partially hidden from the road. A worn-out banner reading, "Estate Sale." "Everything Must Go" hung loosely from the mailbox. The yard was full of tables covered in books, dishes, rusted tools, and stacks of knickknacks. Nothing really caught my eye until I saw the doll. It was sitting on a weathered wicker chair by itself, not grouped with the other toys or decorations. Porcelain, maybe 10 inches tall, with curled blonde hair and a faded blue velvet dress. Its eyes were glassy and strangely human, not those fixed, wide-open kind most old dolls have. And for some reason, it looked sad. I know how stupid that sounds, but it did. It had this weight to it, like it had seen things. The woman running the sale noticed me staring and practically shoved it into my hands. She said it had belonged to her great-aunt, and no one wanted it. She'd give it to me for free, just to be rid of it. I didn't want to seem rude, so I took it. It was lighter than I expected. Hollow, almost. I placed it gently in the back seat of my car and drove off without thinking twice. That night, back at my apartment, I left the doll in the living room on a shelf. I didn't even really plan to keep it. Maybe clean it up and sell it online. But around 2 a.m. I woke up to the sound of a door creaking. My bedroom door. I had closed it tight before bed, and I lived alone. I sat up, listening. There was another sound, a soft dragging, like something being pulled across the carpet. Then silence. I chalked it up to a weird dream and went back to sleep. The next morning I found the doll on the kitchen counter. I hadn't touched it since bringing it home. I hadn't even entered the kitchen the night before. It was just sitting there, staring at the stove. One hand slightly raised, like it had been reaching for something. I laughed it off, but I didn't put it back on the shelf. I tossed it in a shoebox and shoved it in the closet. That night, the dragging sound came back. This time, I stayed awake and listened. The sound moved through the apartment, slow, deliberate. I grabbed a flashlight and crept toward the hall. Nothing there. Closet door still shut. Until it wasn't. I swear on my life, I blinked and it was slightly ajar. Not wide. Just cracked open, like someone on the other side had started to push, but then stopped. I opened it slowly. The shoebox was on the floor. Lid gone. Empty. I felt something behind me and turned fast. Nothing. But when I looked down the hall toward the living room, the doll was there, sitting upright on the couch. Its dress was soaked in something dark. I ran. I packed a bag, left the apartment, and checked into a hotel that night. I didn't go back for 2 days. When I did, I brought a friend with me. The apartment was locked. Nothing broken, nothing stolen. But the doll was gone. Not in the living room. Not in the closet. Not anywhere. I thought maybe I had imagined it all. Maybe I was overworked, overtired. Until that evening when I sat on my bed and reached for my phone and found a small piece of blue velvet under my pillow. Just a scrap, but it smelled like earth, like something that had been buried for a long time. I tossed the scrap, burned it actually, and I moved a few weeks later, out of the state completely. I never saw the doll again, but every so often, I wake up in the middle of the night. Not because of a sound, but because of a feeling. Like something is sitting just outside my door, waiting. In May of 2019, I was helping my girlfriend's mom clean out her late uncle's home in a quiet neighborhood near Redding, California. He'd passed away unexpectedly, and no one had really gone through his belongings. The family decided to hold a yard sale to get rid of as much as possible. The house was packed. Vintage radios, stacks of VHS tapes, boxes of keys, tools, even entire dress forms and mannequins he must have used for tailoring work decades ago. It was the kind of place that looked like time had just stopped. Dust on everything. Rooms untouched for years. It didn't feel sad. It felt paused. While cleaning the garage, I came across a mannequin that was different from the others. It wasn't plastic or fiberglass. It was some kind of strange composite material that almost looked like aged skin under yellowed lacquer. Its arms and legs weren't removable like most mannequins, just stiff and stuck in a lifelike posture. And its face. The face wasn't blank like a department store display. It had features. Soft ones. Lips parted slightly, closed eyelids with faint lines drawn like veins. I called it the sleeping mannequin. No one else wanted to touch it. Her mom joked it was creepy as hell and said she didn't remember ever seeing it in the garage. That alone was strange, considering she used to spend summers there as a kid. It didn't sell on the first day. It didn't even get looked at. I decided to move it to the edge of the yard, thinking maybe someone into weird vintage stuff would grab it. The second day, it was gone. No one remembered selling it. No one took payment. There was no cash in the tin that wasn't accounted for. But that night, as we locked up, I swear I saw something in the neighbor's window across the street. A silhouette. Standing too still, arms frozen in that same mannequin-like angle. It was probably nothing. Just a trick of the light or a lamp positioned weirdly. Still, I stared for a while, half expecting it to move. The next morning, when I walked into the garage to grab more boxes, I stopped cold. The mannequin was back. Same position. Same cracked lacquer around the base. Same strange, unnatural stillness. But this time there was something different. Its mouth was slightly open. I swear it had been shut before. I asked everyone. Nobody moved it. No one believed me when I said it was gone, and now it was back. They thought I was just tired. That night, I stayed in the guest room, trying to sleep but too restless. Around 3 a.m., I heard the garage door creak. Just once. Slow and loud, as if the spring had been pulled and released halfway. Then nothing. I lay there for what felt like hours, heart racing, trying to convince myself the old house was just settling. The next morning, the mannequin was inside the house. In the hallway, standing next to a box of unused light bulbs, facing the guest room door. No one moved it. No one even knew how it got in. It didn't seem possible. It was too large, too rigid to move quietly without waking someone. Her mom swore she locked the garage. We decided to get rid of it. Load it into the truck and haul it to the dump. We didn't want to donate it or sell it. It had gotten under everyone's skin. When we lifted it into the truck bed, it felt heavier than before. Not just in weight. There was a presence to it, like we were carrying a person, not an object. Halfway to the landfill, I looked in the side mirror. It was gone. The truck bed was empty. We pulled over, checked everything, even looked down the road in case it had somehow fallen out. Nothing. No marks, no scratches. It had just vanished. We didn't talk about it on the drive back. 3 days later, after the yard sale was over and the house was mostly cleared out, I stayed one last night alone to do a final walkthrough before the realtor arrived. I slept on the couch, lights off, window open slightly to let in some breeze. Around midnight, I felt something shift in the room. The kind of shift where you just know someone else is there. I didn't open my eyes at first, but when I finally did, I saw it. Standing in the doorway, perfectly still, that mannequin. Its face was different now. The eyelids were gone, and it was staring right at me. The lips were stretched wider than before. as if it was caught, mid-smile or mid-scream. I couldn't move. I couldn't breathe. And then it stepped forward, not walked, just shifted, like it didn't need motion to get closer. I blacked out. When I woke up, it was morning. The house was empty. No mannequin. Nothing out of place. But every so often, I find scuff marks in odd places in my apartment. On the ceiling, behind the bathroom door, in my closet. Always faint. Always paired with one small, pale handprint. I haven't told anyone, because deep down, I know I brought it with me. In October of 2021, I visited a multi-family yard sale near Asheville, North Carolina. It was one of those sprawling weekend events, tables running up the driveways, blankets laid out with books, boxes, old tech, kitchenware. It had the perfect nostalgic vibe. I'd been hoping to find some old horror VHS tapes for a Halloween display in my apartment. One table caught my eye, mostly vintage electronics, cassette decks, boom boxes, CRT TVs. But sitting at the far edge of the table was a small black camcorder, early 2000s Sony make, a mini DV model, the kind my uncle used to use when I was a kid. It was in decent shape, surprisingly clean. When I asked how much, the guy running the table didn't even look up. He just shrugged and said, $10. Battery's dead though. I didn't mind. I had a charger at home that would work. I bought it, tossed it into my back seat, and continued browsing the other booths. Nothing unusual. Nothing felt strange at the time. Just a good deal. Later that night, I plugged in the camcorder. The red light blinked on and the screen flickered to life. There was still a tape inside. I rewound it, just curious to see what was on it. The footage was low quality, static-ridden at times, but what played was oddly intimate. An old living room, beige carpet, wood-paneled walls, a cat lounging in a sunbeam. Then it cut to a child's birthday party. Maybe early 2000s, judging by the clothes and decorations. A girl with dark braids, maybe 9 or 10, blowing out candles as a man behind the camera sang off-key. It felt too personal, like watching someone else's memory. It made me uncomfortable, so I paused it and turned off the TV. The next night I gave in and watched more. But this time, it didn't start where I left off. The screen was dark for almost a minute. Then, movement. The image steadied and showed a hallway, narrow, dimly lit. The kind with old, yellowed wallpaper and sagging doors. The camcorder moved slowly down the hall. No sound, no voices, just the hum of electronics. Then it focused on a door at the end. Someone behind the camera knocked, once, twice. Then it cut to static. I rewound the tape, tried playing it again, thinking maybe I had skipped something, but it always jumped straight to that hallway. Every time I turned it on after that, the footage would change, like the tape was erasing itself and recording new things, always from the camcorder's point of view, always inside a different house, always approaching a door. Sometimes I'd hear breathing. Sometimes the door would be open just a crack, and sometimes it wasn't a door at all. It was a mirror. One night, the tape showed a street I recognized. My street. I froze. The footage was grainy, but I could see the edge of my apartment building. The camcorder panned slowly upward, focusing on the 3rd floor. My floor. Then it cut to black. That was the first night I didn't sleep. I tried to get rid of it. I took the tape out, threw it in the trash, and even considered smashing the whole thing. But something stopped me. I didn't want to destroy it. I wanted to understand it, which was a mistake. A few nights later, I heard the soft mechanical click of the camcorder powering on. It was still plugged in. I hadn't touched it. The tape was gone, but the screen was lit, and it was recording. The lens faced the hallway outside my bedroom. I walked over, confused, heart pounding, and picked it up. There was no one there. But when I played back the footage, there was. A shape. Not clear, not solid, but standing at the end of the hallway, just watching. I turned it off, unplugged it and shoved it into my closet, but it kept turning on. Every night at exactly 3:12 a.m., recording. And each morning, the footage would be closer, like it was walking toward me, one step at a time, night by night. I tried filming over it, didn't work. I tried removing the battery. It still turned on. Eventually, I mailed it to an address in New Mexico I found on a paranormal forum. A collector. Someone who specialized in objects with energy. I didn't ask questions. I just shipped it, no return address. That was 8 months ago, but last week a package arrived at my door. No note, no tracking info. Inside was a single mini DV tape, and a scrap of masking tape stuck to it with my name. I haven't watched it yet, but every night I hear a soft mechanical click in the dark, and my hallway always feels a little colder. Some things you find at a yard sale were never meant to be owned. If these true stories gave you chills, make sure to like, share, subscribe, and hit the bell icon, because what's forgotten by others might just be waiting for you.